You know the robots will shut this down so fast.
It's true.
Our robot overlords. It's just begun.
All right, I'm
Just.
pinging the people who said they would. so.
All right. We're watching you. Watch us. All right. Adjust the camera. Oh, I keep cutting my head off. There we go. Welcome, everyone, to Tell the Return. And it is a return. I think the last tell we had was in June. Is that right?
Yeah, I think
We
it's
used to-
April or May.
Oh, was it even further?
It's been a while.
We used to number the tells. Now we're just beyond the number.
Okay, yeah, because we reached 10 years.
Yeah, we're just old and we're happy about it. We made it. So welcome. My name is Greg Newton. I am the co-founder of the Bureau of General Services Queer Division, along with my beloved partner, Donnie Jokum. Thank you. Yeah, I have a couple of Bureau volunteers in the audience, Bella and Ben. That's how this baby works, all volunteers, love power. And donations. And books are easy.
Yes.
We'll get to that later. Before I bring Dre Campbell, the founder, the force behind Tell, up to the stage, I wanted to read a land acknowledgement and a call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Oh, I should also mention, we're open Wednesdays through Sundays from 1 to 7 p.m. This is a store. We sell things. Yes. And if you're not already on our email list, you can sign up for that at the back of the room or on our website, egsqd.com. Okay. So the Bureau acknowledges that our organization operates on the unceded land of the Munsee Lenape. We encourage you to join the Bureau in signing up to make a monthly donation to the American Indian Community Houses Mannahatta Fund. The Mannahatta Fund, according to its website, is an invitation to all settlers and non-native people who wish to acknowledge the legacy of theft and genocide that comprise the history of New York City and the United States. And you can find out more at mannahattafund.org. We also want to recognize that today, September 21st, is the 351st day of Israel's genocidal campaign against the Palestinian people, funded by our tax dollars and enabled by our government's unwavering support. We hope that you will join us in calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire, the release of all detainees held by Israel, the release of all hostages held by Hamas, an end to the siege of Gaza, and an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories in order to stop the collective punishment of Palestinians and to ensure the swift delivery of desperately needed food, water, medicine, fuel, and humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. Our greater hope is for peace, justice, and liberation from oppression for all people everywhere. Amen. With that, I now call to the front of the room, Dre Campbell.
Oh my God. Woo, woo, yay, hi, woo. Hi, everybody. We're returning. We have 6 people online. Hey, Zoomy Doomies. Feeling gloomies? Sing some tunes. Whee! How's everybody doing? Oh my God, this cute little boat of people on Saturday night just floating through this apocalypse. Just queer as fuck. We're queering this apocalypse. Queer the apocalypse. Yeah, open it up. Yay. Because apocalypse literally means opening. Did everybody know that? Because calypso, which is the opposite, is closing. So I don't know why apocalypse is like end of the world and calypso is fun music, but whatever. I'll go with that. Do we want calypso or apocalypso? We want them both? We want it all? I don't know. They, what now?
Greek God, so where's the views? Calypso.
questions, we need answers. Anybody online want to do some research? Why?
Put it in the
is-
chat.
Put it in the chat and we'll check in on you soon. Also, we have a $10 suggested donation. If you out there online want to give us some money, it goes to pay the artists. You can give us like anywhere from $5 to $7,000. We'll take it. And then we'll split it amongst ourselves and make off like thieves with donuts. That old saying, who knew? What are we talking about? Thieves with donuts, you know, that cliche. I don't know what I'm talking about. Return. I just, but that's right. Hey. Wait, oh, the Venmo is at BGSQD, which is the name of this wonderful bookstore where you can, I just want to show you some of the amazing books. Faggots and Their Friends. Okay, we love Faggots and Their Friends. If you don't know about it, it's basically like this poetic, lyrical moment about like sort of like surviving these times as a queer person. Would anybody agree with that assessment?
Everyone should read that book.
It's a wonderful book. It makes me feel like, oh, this has been going on and I'm not alone in the world when I read it. Anyone? Okay. A lot of the books in this place make me feel that way. Also, okay, for those who really need it, and I think some of you do, because I have gone on some dates, this polyamory coloring and activity book. Okay, you can learn some lessons. Some of you need to learn these lessons. Learn them now and often, okay? It's a coloring book, so you can do it with your constellation of cuties. I'll get that later. This is, the Lesbian Avenger. The Lesbian Avenger Handbook, okay? The Lesbian Avenger Handbook, wow. And then we've got the Butch Lesbians of the, what is that, the 60s? 50s, 60s, and 70s coloring book. I actually have this. It is real butches from those time periods, and you can fucking color them. Like what? Where are you gonna get that? Go buy it. Who knows? You can go online and buy it, bgsqd.org. .com, where commerce, let's not forget. By the way, big announcement. We have a new microphone stand, and all you have to do is rip it. There's no futzing. There's no futzing like there used to be. You know the futzing? Just grip it. It's like a handbrake on a bicycle. It's so fun. We love it. Big investments are happening here at BGSQD. We're streamlining our entire fucking lives. We're getting our lives with this. So the theme is we're telling queer stories about, and the theme is return. So, okay, but also, by the way, we've been doing this show for 10 years. Woo! 10 years. In February, 10 years. I think 10 years, it's also 2 seasons of a podcast. What? So we've had so many themes. Mothers and fuckers, motherfuckers. What else? Hair. We did hair. What was it? Ghosts. Rent, roommates, housing, pets. The dead. That was a weird one. That was trippy. We actually. It's almost too traumatic to talk about, but I even come up with the themes ahead of time. This one month I did the dead, and 2 like prominent people in our sort of queer New York world died. And then we had this event, which was like, this is so weird, but we sort of got to process that, what was going on in real time, which was a trip. What other themes have we had?
10 years of themes.
10 years of themes. Sometimes I do, every once in a while, I'll do like dealer's choice, like you just like, or an open mic. Because usually I curate it with a bunch of people, and sometimes I'll be like, come and do a 5-minute story. And I talk like that. And I'm like, on a rocking chair. Hello, everyone. And welcome to storytelling time. Oh, it's fun. We have so much fun. I did one called My Masculinity, which was fun. That was cute. Yes,
Is that when you
right?
showed your headshots?
Did I show my, maybe, yeah. Do the,
I got to see you transition before. our
right, yeah, I have like all my actor headshots that started when I was 18. I had like blonde curly hair, big hoop earrings, a lot of makeup, and then like 20 headshots that sort of watch me transition into becoming this like, hi, how are you? I'm a handsome actor. Yeah, that was fun. That was my masculinity. So the theme is return, and we have three amazing storytellers, which I'm very excited about. Yay! It's quite a spicy little group. Yeah, storytellers. It's a wonderful little group of folk. Funny, serious, hilarious, bonkers, sassy, musical, comical, everything. Tragic. We all have a little tragedy. I mean, this is not even a story I have like formed. I'm still sort of like experiencing this story, but I just returned from Fire Island. I was there for 4 days, which was really wonderful and beautiful in Cherry Grove. Does everyone know? Has anyone been? Cherry Grove? It's like, in Fire Island, they have like the Leslie area, and then they have the boy area. The boy area is like extremely rich men with like fortresses. And then like a little area where they all fuck in the woods. And then like Cherry Grove is a little more like artsy and rustic and lesbian, right?
Yeah, hippy dippy.
Right, and then there's some crossover. What was that? And it's insanely expensive. And, that's another thing, sort of low key, kind of like Reese Square Beach. It's like they keep trying to shrink it. It's like the streets are encroaching and it's frightening. So that's happening, but there still is a moment of like, yay, titties to the wind, Dickie Poppins, we love it. Anyway, I went there this week to shoot a music video that for a Peaches song, but it wasn't for Peaches, it was for this artist named Samantha Nye. I don't know if anybody knows who she is, but she makes these amazing paintings that are like, you look at them and they're very beautiful and like beautiful blue ocean on it, pools and ornate, like castle-y looking places. And then you look close and there's like all these like older women, like with strap-ons, and then like all this fetish stuff and nudity, and it's really fun. All kinds of different bodies and stuff. So basically she kind of like brought that world to life, and Penny Arcade was the star of the video, and then I was like, yeah. She was, and I was like one of the backup dancers, and we had a lot of costumes, and it was a really magical time. And there were all these like local old school lesbians. There was this like amazing person who was kind of helping us with everything, named Nikki Tits, who just always had her tits out. Hey, how you doing, Nikki Tits? Like tall, beautiful. Like, what do you guys do? This is beautiful. I love this. Like, wow. Like, is an electrician in Bay Ridge, and was like, I'm here. I go work so I can fucking come to Cherry Grove. I'm coming here 30 years. I've been coming here, like helping us with all the tits always out. Just hey, how you doing? And we shot in this this hotel called the Hotel Belvedere, which does not allow women. And it's kind of like this like dilapidated, it's beautiful to photograph, but when you like scratch a little closer, you're like, oh honey, she's falling apart. She's falling apart. It's like a castle just like melting before you. But when you look at it from afar, it's like, oh God, that's gorgeous. And when you see it from the ferry coming in, it's like this beautiful glowing white castle with balconies and all that kind of stuff. So that was really amazing. And yesterday we shot this scene where it was just like a whole bunch of like women at age 60 to 80 just standing around naked and dancing and giving each other lap dances and like just doing all kinds of wild stuff. But then like in between takes of this, the shoot, we'd be standing around and they'd just, hey, you should get a power washer for that. But like, just like naked, just like talking their business. How long you been? We've been together 40 years. And I was like, what's the secret? We fight a lot. It's like, is that a secret? That's what you do? You just fight a lot. Okay. And then by the end of that conversation, I was like, are they gonna be together still? Like one of them was like, I think we might start living apart. I was like, okay, great, that was inspiring. No, they were really wonderful people. So they were all just very excited to be involved and so brave and so like amazing and so like just living their free little body lives. It was just one of those things that reminds you like, oh my God, we need spaces like this. Cause it's like I come back in the city and I'm like, oh, we're inside this space now. After being like among like all these like free little funsy onesie naked bodies, people slapping each other's asses with consent. There was an intimacy coordinator on set, which was wonderful. A lot of wonderful conversations. There was like pee fountains, but they couldn't really pee, right? So they used like these. There had to be a whole rigging of things. It was fun. We had a good time. Oh God. And maybe I said too much. Don't tell. I know this is on the internet, but don't tell anyone. But I had a great time. It was wonderful. So many amazing people involved, and now I'm back. I have returned. See that? See what I did there? Is our first storyteller ready? Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit about you, and then bring up our first. Is everybody ready for our first storyteller? Yeah. I'm gonna like read your little bio, which is pretty amazing. Give me a moment, okay? Stop pressuring me. And oh, there's gonna be like we're gonna have like the screen in the background available for this. Return of the Mac. Okay, everybody. Rachel Levitsky came out as a lesbian in 1984. What? Yes. And as a poet in 1994. She, they is the author of The Story of My Accident is Ours. That's one title, right? Under the Sun. That's another title. Neighbor, Against Travel, Anti-Voyage, and several other small press editions. In 1999, she, they founded the feminist avant-garde network Belladonna series and is a member of Belladonna Collaborative, a non-hierarchical and variously organized collective making objects, thoughts, actions, events. Levitsky is a professor at Pratt Institute, and lives in Woodstock. She's currently at work on a memoir without memory called Rachel Levitsky Has No Problems. Everybody please give it up for Rachel Levitsky.
Let's see if I know how to, I just said
Did
I
it, did it.
Natural. So as you hear, I'm a poet and I'm gonna be doing something more in the milieu that we're in tonight. And I just want to say, speaking of all the things that we are, funny, musical, etc. I'm often a funny poet, but tonight I'm gonna be a tragic one. I have a taxonomy of names, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but they are something like Steve's a little creepy, right? Sorry, I mean, in a beloved way, and Rachel, always a little tragic. Agnes's are just awesome, right? It goes on and on. So my return is to the accident. Speaking of the story of my accident. The story of my accident continues. I started going to Provincetown regularly in 2016 when my friend Naz invited me to come stay for a week in her iconic Provincetown cottage. It had once been an ice house and later the Provincetown Art School. It was very what people at P-Town like to call old P-Town. Rustic, rough, not insulated. Naz's invitation was a bit of grace coming after summer 2015 in Cherry Grove, which included being harassed constantly by straight men on the beach, having a really heavy door hatch falling on my head, giving me floaters still to this day, and breaking up a brawl, a physical brawl between my two roommates who were lovers,
Oh, shoot.
trying to mediate, failing completely. I'm a terrible mediator, don't even ask me to do it. I do many things, but I can't mediate. Walking the dog away from the situation, getting a call from my mother telling me my father had died in California. I got off the island in like an hour and it was enough for a while. So the invitation from Naz came right on time. Hanging out on the beach with Naz and her long-term friends, Ari and the woman who owned the ice house, was an aromatic treat. They had all grown up going to Provincetown from like the 50s and 60s. We're all artist daughters of Jewish emigre, refugee artist parents, very bohemian, and several of whom had fled the Nazi Holocaust, all of whom had fled something. And the rich affect of their 60-year friendship was cinematographic, saturated, bright. My friend, the poet Rebecca Wolf, who started a magazine called Fence that we all love in my poetry milieu, and it also publishes books, had also been going to P-Town most of her life. Her parents her family had a place in Truro, just one town south. And whenever I go, I check if she's there. So this past August, I texted her, told her I was in town, and told her I had a bum knee, and that because of that, I didn't have a car. And she said, what could she do? And offered her assistance. And I said, I really want breakfast. So we agreed to go to Liz's place on Bradford in the West End, near Race Road, where Naz stayed, and where later I stayed without her. The woman who owned the house, who owned the ice house, called me in February 2020 and said Naz wasn't coming back, and said I was next in line. I wasn't sure what that meant. But I did know that it meant helping her. She didn't drive, she was getting on in years. Okay, I said yes. So Rebecca, as we were going, fretted about parking near Liz's place. Who's Liz anyway? I've never seen her, but it's her place. Having lived nearby in the ice house, I was confident that I would be able to get us a spot. I directed us into the neighborhood around there near where I lived, and we passed Race Road, the cul-de-sac of the cottage. We didn't find parking. We exited on Champagne Road, where I quickly spotted a public lot with one little spot that fitted Rebecca's Prius, and I was like, damn, I have open channels.
Yeah.
Rebecca stopped the car, and I was saddled and overcome with an enormous grief. It was like a ghost weight, something that made it hard to move. The grief was around. I would call it mine, but it was all around, on top of, rather than inside, the usual chest, stomach, arms. My writing mind keeps reaching for the horrific metaphoric surround of the collapsed, no doubt bombed building, perverse, but in the image repertoire of helplessly watching USA labeled 2,000-pound bombs dropped by Israel's pilots and drones on buildings after residential building body parts and survivors dug out by hands, large numbers still under the buildings, 4,000 just counting children, they say. I'm not an affect genius like Baizan and Plesty in Gaza, Diane Buto and Nora Erekat in New York, who tell us, Palestinian women who tell us of the horrible truth of occupation and genocide without their emotions becoming the story. I have not been able to tell the terrors. My breath leaves, enters the worst part and places, feels strangled when terrors attempt to find language, be told. I wonder if in this I am like my birth family who could tell no story of arrival, departure, or origin. I couldn't not tell Rebecca about it. She wondered what she'd done or said, she'd been talking about an impending end of something important. No. I couldn't identify that it was touching upon Race Road where I'd been so uncannily happy that COVID summer 2020. It turned sour when I tried to repeat my happiness the next summer when both my dog and I came close to kaput. Aw. I'll tell about the dog's accident some other time, but it included a coyote. 3 years and 11 days before the breakfast with Rebecca Wolf and our touching of Race Road, my big event, my accident, like all accidents, happened on a quick, or did it? We excavate accidents for as long as they live inside us. Race Road's accidents have already had many lives. Currently, me, one painful post-COVID, post-accident inflammation of fingers and the left knee leg. I touch the swelling in and around my knee. I sense it as icky goo. The fingers scream of an attack of the body by the body, what is called autoimmune. There's the neck and shoulders and lost height, the teeth and mouth and significant expense, pain, identity. For a while, I had no topside teeth. Meredith told me that sometimes she'd look at me surprised, where are Rachel's teeth? The privilege of finding all that money for the surgeon. The owner of the ice house refused to file an insurance claim. It's good I have a job, which makes it challenging to make art, in part because of another kind of life-altering misfortune and violence at that job. My therapist asked me why I didn't sue the owner of the ice house, and I thought, I should sue. And then my mind wandered. I didn't sue because I was nervous in front of losing mutual friends. We share a history of trauma, both general, Jewish, Holocaust, and specific. I was close when their child took her own life. And there has been much tenderness and artistic collaboration. Naz did not visit me when I was immobilized. And now there is the added alienation of learning of the unmoved neoliberal Zionism, insistent through this obvious genocide, Zionism at its highest crescendo, belies its groups overwhelmed by vulnerable feelings, total and not to be questioned, despite the fact of ruthless, devastating, and now 100-year-old historical aggression. The visit of Race Road, the incidental return to the site of the 2021 accident came just after going to Naz's show, a retrospective. It had been 2 days before, on August 23rd. I know because I went despite my nervousness. I deployed some queer friends to go along with me, knowing I'd see the owner of the ice house, who once considered me a dear friend, told other people that she loved me. The mouth surgery, many broken teeth, as it turned out, the knee MRI and the many x-rays, PT, etc., like all medical interventions, come and go. We don't really call them life. The story of this grief is something like the story of what I call life, which is buoyancy. Buoyancy and pleasure are what I have conflated with life in this iteration of mine. My idiosyncratic conflation makes accidents, betrayals, illness, and medical interventions land to the side of life. They are ever pushing their way in and taking up the middle from the sides. Lately, I like artworks like Silky Shoemaker, Lex Vaughn, and Paul Solio's solos, Naked Vaudeville, Fever Waking Dream, Shaboom, and Katz Tepper's Roasted Cockroach for Scale, a video cats made using their computer's digital and mostly imageless screen, talking remotely with their father about a dangerously problematic gut. These are works that collect and sometimes flip over the manifold detail of the banal, illuminating the banal's potential for the sublime. Human and animal shit, digestion, and discontent. Each of these works takes an obvious risk of being despised, as per Muriel Rukeyser's poem Despisals, where she implores us not to go despising the asshole, nor the useful shit that is our clean clue to what we need. Thank you, queers, for your love of shit. If the past 10 years of my life have been riven with accident and otherwise unfortunate things that would make me cringe had you warned me of them, I wonder if I invited this epic by writing my 2013 book, The Story of My Accidents, Ours. The characters who are the narrators, alternatively called I and or we, come into the world all at once and all one way. to find themselves missing something. They go looking for it, this thing they are missing, but not having it. They don't know what it is, and they are looking for, a catch-22. We learn that what's absent for this group is the emotions. In my life, I have one such gap. I like the word lacuna. A thing I feel is important, is all around me, but is beyond reach and without language. What my birth family couldn't refuse to tell, AKA the name of the series, I was never privy to know the story of the accident or otherwise misfortune which produced our very coming into being, our journeys through pogroms or Nazi Germany, or my father's and brother's mental illnesses and deaths, or how the kitten died. When it comes to grief and grieving, I have been forbidden to ask or tell, for that matter, to do, or for that matter, to do, as in collective action of grieving. When my brother died, I gathered his band friends to have a memorial concert at Sunny's in Red Hook, and not one person in my birth family came. My family did come, those not related to me by birth. In the story of my accident as ours, the accident is never disclosed. The characters, we and I, attempt to untangle its occurrence by excavating its origin. I noticed that even when the accident isn't ours, we have the same but we have some tangential relation. We worry that we are to blame. Was it my banana that somehow ended up under her foot? The accident on Race Road is as complicated, full of origin as any. The simple story is that I climbed the ladder to the loft in order to scare a squirrel that had gone in from the front side to get it to leave at the back side. The squirrels were a problem. Instead of going out the backside as the other squirrels had, the scared, and I might add small, maybe adolescent squirrel ran out at me and jumped on my shoulder. I flinched, said fuck, as I went straight down. The more complicated story is that I had gotten on the bad side of the owner of the cottage, who, like I said, had been my friend even after she said she loved me. I think the power of that grief, after seeing the owner at Naz's show and seeing Naz's show, knowing that Naz was not responding when I told her I was having all sorts of consequences to the ladder fall, and my friend that owned the ice house never filing an insurance claim, I think it reminds me of my family using the word love and love and love and screaming and raging and hitting and never mourning and not letting me ask Aunt Anna and Uncle Simon about the concentration camps when they were alive. The grief instead was a thing they pointed to like a mountain that outmountains all mountains, hovering over my biological family, impenetrable and ominous, and just for us as Jews, and for us as a tiny little family of short fatties that would surely all die young. I didn't die when I fell down from the ladder. I became a zebra. My heel bone, calcaneus, broke across and around like a cracked egg. The doctor, when I walked in with boot and crutches, told me I had a high tolerance for pain. I responded, learned, and asked, was I nauseous? Yes, very, and for months. When he got the results of the first MRI, he sent me a dire email I read just before teaching a Zoom class. I was overcome with terror. And this was just the story of my destroyed heel, ligaments, tendons. Later, he admitted he felt he had to be dire to get me to recognize the severity. He didn't want me to dislodge the pieces of the calcaneus as yet miraculously in place. He told me I was freakish, showed my films to his colleagues, and that brace like mine usually dislodge immediately when the fallen person gets up, that I was, in the vernacular of his medical school, a zebra, an image they used to teach a rule about diagnosis, go with likely scenario, hoof prints on a North American beach are horses, not zebras. However, you, Rachel, are the zebra. I lived alone, remote, in an empty Woodstock cottage with an air mattress only, in stunned fear of the dislodging he had warned me to avoid. I rented out my Brooklyn apartment for a year to cover some of the costs. So when I started to slowly walk again in November, I was tethered to the alone of my Woodstock cottage for winter. In the aftermath of the emergency, the facts of my isolation and handling everything alone while disabled became its own terror to absorb, excruciating. I did ketamine treatments, and they worked, but they were horrible, right? And I felt like I'm disassociated enough from my child that I don't need more disassociation. At some point, I began to recall squirrel stories. Like the one about my father unintentionally killing a squirrel when he shot his BB gun into the lawn to scare them away from being such a nuisance. He was racked by guilt that lasted his life. I tell people now, beware squirrel, the squirrel always wins. It's true, it's really true. But the woman who owned the house where I had my accident, in writing this story, I began to see her more clearly in her reddish pantsuit at Naz's art opening, smaller with age and being avoided by me, who needed my hearty queer family. And shout out to Martha and Shelley for being that hearty queer family, to protect me from this disappearing person. Now in my mind's eye, the rage and trauma she carries and has not massaged out with the practice of kindness for herself and others reads proportionally a sad legacy. For me, this is a longed for arrival of compassion, but also a more accurate read on the balance of power. I keep having dreams I can't quite remember in which something bad is happening, something cloaked and criminal. The first summer I was in her keep, the woman who owned the house called me criminal. First sign that things were going to go south. My shrink asked me why these accusations and aspersions take such a deleterious turn on my psyche. I'm still at the I don't know. I hate to end in an anodyne fashion, but I am feeling like I'll be okay. That is true, that as I titled my next book, Rachel Levitsky has no problems, except the ones we all have: environmental collapse, genocide, surveillance, and the possibility for terrorist explosions in our electronic devices, shitty healthcare, long conversations on the phone with computers.
Yes. Yes.
And the squirrel, well, she always wins. So now when I see her, appreciating her, I enjoy her.
Give it up for Rachel Levitsky. That was your first time doing like some storytelling? Give it up, impressive, yes. Well, you feel good? Were you nervous? You seem very calm, yeah. I love the squirrel details. It actually reminds me of this friend of mine told us this little story one time where he said he overheard somebody on the phone being like, I went squirrel to world on her ass. And we were like, wait, back up, squirrel to world? What the fuck is that? And we became obsessed with squirrel to world. And this was, a while ago now, maybe 10 years ago. We made a whole Facebook group called Squirrel to World. And it was like squirrel to motherfucking world. And we would post like squirrel stories. It was a lot, but the squirrel always wins. So, and you had like, but the end that you said there, the litany that you had about like, I have no problems except, these very major ones. And then a squirrel. So it just reminded me of, so that was really like kind of the definition of squirrel to world. Woo! Rachel Levitsky! We have people commenting online. You can't see it here, it's in the back. We thank you. It's interactive. Very exciting. So we have like 10 people. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Martha and Shelley said hello, love.
Hi, Martha and Shelley. Hello back. Hi. We love you. We appreciate you. Get other people to sign on. And also, you can Venmo us any amount. It goes to the artist and to the bookstore on Venmo at BGSQD. Money. Is our next storyteller. Are you ready? Oh, good. Are we ready for you is the question. I'm going to read a little bit about you. First of all, I met this next storyteller very recently when we did a musical together. Honey, we did it. And it was La Cage aux Folles. Yes, the very gayest, queerest musical in the land. And the production is a whole other story, which we could do a whole show on that show, right? We really could. But you were our equity rep. Yeah, that was fun. That was exciting. We had a lot of adventures doing La Cage aux Folles. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our next storyteller.
who's just a sweet, lovely person. Okay, Jante Jarrell Culpepper is a graduate from the University of New Mexico with his BA in Contemporary Dance and a minor in Vocal Performance. Some of his theater credits include Bayside the Musical. I mean, that's kind of all you need to know, right? Bayside the Musical, honey, what? Woo, Naked Boys Singing, In the Heights, Kinky Boots, Dreamgirls, La Cage aux Folles, and also some wonderful film and television, including season 15, being a contestant on American Idol in season 15. Everybody please give it up for Jante Jarrell Culpepper.
Hi. Hello at home, or if you're in your coffee shop, I don't know where you're at. I'm gonna sit because I don't want to stand. My knees hurt. I just, yeah, I've been doing a lot of things. I don't really, it's so funny. I can perform in front of thousands of people, and then when I get in front of like a really small, quaint, cute group of people, and have to talk, I'm like, okay. And
It's hard, you're doing
it's
great.
Thank you so much. That's my story. That's it. Thank you for sharing that lovely story with us. I don't know how to follow that. I didn't write something amazing, so I'm just gonna talk and hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so my return is okay. My return is coming through it. That's the title I came up with. Coming through it. And COVID, all that nonsense. So COVID happened and we had the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that stuff. And so I had never coming through it, I've developed so fun anxiety. Love that. I know it's exciting. I mean, one pill a day makes the anxiety go away. Jesus. So so I developed anxiety and all this stuff. At the time, I was dating my lovely ex-boyfriend. Love ex-boyfriend. That's a whole other show. That's another show. We can have an hour and a half. So we were together for 4.5 years. I know, right? It's so wonderful. 2.5 years ago. So we've been separated for a while. Thank the Lord. And anyway, so that we had a lot of trial and tribulation, as every relationship does. If it's perfect, then there's something wrong. But I was quite blinded by things that were provided for me and were not provided for me, and the glitz and being taken care of. I was very taken care of. I became very very dependent on this person, unfortunately. And I'm a person that is very independent and very boisterous and very outgoing, and I don't need a man for anything. Like, I love having a man, but I don't need a man, baby. But trust me. But I became very dependent on this man that I needed to have, and all of a sudden it was like if I wasn't with him, I couldn't be myself. It was a very wild journey. It was fun. And my friends, family, had seen I had changed, like, in the most. It was just a weird change that they saw. I became, aside from dependent, I became very not self-aware, not confident. I'm a very there's a difference between confidence and cockiness, and I'm a very confident person. It's taken me a long time to get to a place to be confident through things I've went through in childhood. Again, another show. And so I found myself holding my head very low. My shoulders were draped. It was crazy. It was a crazy situation, and it's crazy how love is blind, isn't it? Like, love, you fall in love with someone and it's blind, and you don't realize until you're out of the thick of it. So That's a little backstory leading into, when COVID happened, I was one of the ground zero patients that when they didn't know what COVID was or didn't have a vaccine and in the midst of all of this that was happening in the world, my ex-boyfriend and I were really going through it. And so the stress of that on top of the stress of the world and then the stress of me getting extremely ill. I had been ill like for I would say like 2.5, almost 3 years, really. And it was to the point I'm very like I mean to my friends know here, I'm very active. I've always been an athlete my entire life. I mean, you name the sport. I cheered for 15 years. I did football. I've danced. I've done so many things. So like the athleticism in my body is who I am. I don't know how to not be athletic and to move and to not move and to be in the go. So when this illness affected the world, but it also affected me, it affected me in such a way that my body had to shut down. And it was to the point where like I couldn't have walked from here to you without feeling like I was going to pass out. Like I couldn't take 2 steps without feeling that. And that was a very traumatic moment because that sort of thing plays with you mentally, emotionally, and then on top of like stress you go through in your home life, and then we couldn't go anywhere. We were stuck together. So that was fun. Jesus, that was fun. It was and so I'm trying to babble and make sense. I'm so sorry. I don't. Okay. I'm not a public speaker, but I'm a public singer. I will sing a song for you. So and so this thing had just taken over me. And any person, no matter who you are, if you have to take care of another human being, no matter age or things that they go through, it weighs on the other person. So for him having to take on this extra thing, I will always be thankful to him. That is something that I could have never imagined. I'm thankful he could have just shoot me off to my family, but he didn't. So that was one thing I'm very grateful. But but seeing everyone around me, being in this industry, being a singer, dancer, after all this stuff, seeing all this stuff around me and seeing people like continue to grow and continue to develop themselves through everything that was happening was also very detrimental to my mental health. And my mental health was declining at a very gradual pace. And it was a place that you never expect yourself to be in. And it was hard. I felt like I was in this like dark hole and trying to find the light, and there was not even a speck of light at the top. I couldn't see anything, and it was a whirlwind around me. And so having this illness and this thing hit my body, and never knowing when I was or if I was going to be better. I thought, okay, well, is this my life now? Life happens, things happen to people, and you just don't know if they're going to be better. And so to have to have my family so far away, they're all on the West Coast, really, and not at my immediate fingers, and having my ex be the immediate family in the midst of trial and tribulation that we were going through was quite difficult. And at one point, when we were having our things going on, he would ask me, well, when are you going to get better? And I was like, if I had an answer to that, I would gladly let you know, and it was just, it was crazy. I was like, so I think, and it's also hard for someone to heal when you're not in a positive environment, when there's so much toxicity and disdain and so many things happening, you can't think straight. And so another side note, I'm so I should have written notes.
You did
Let
great.
me read from page 15. Let me color in this book for a second. Okay, thank you so much.
Dane, I was like, oh, that's Dane.
Oh, just you felt it in your mouth. It's nasty, isn't it? It tastes. It's gross. So I mean, it's delicacy in some countries, I guess. And, yeah, just saying. I digress. Okay, so where did I leave off? Toxicity. Stain.
When are you gonna get?
When am I gonna get better? When am I gonna get better? And so so he would ask these questions and that then would help me. So I'm also I was raised in a gospel church and then and I'm Christian. I'm still Christian today, and so my faith is something very important to me, and it also has been, you know, a hard thing in the queer community when you find someone that is still enveloped in their faith and having this you know, our community, whatever, something. But so I in this I was like, okay, I felt so alone. You know, I have my family in Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, but it's not the same when you're not in your loving bubble. And so I was like, I had to just like stop the noise, and I had to just like pray. I had to just be like, Lord, I need your guidance. I need your help. I need you to like help me find the light, find my way out of this. I don't know what to do, and I am lost. And so I agree. And so by the grace of God, my friend who is from LA, lives in New York now. She was a part of this group, this fellowship group in LA, and she invited me on Zoom because they were doing Zoom meetings and stuff. And you know, she was like, listen, like, you know, I know that you're Christian and I want you to be part of this group, but also like, girl, think of it as free therapy. Like, come in free therapy. You know? I was like, gee, I need some therapy. I can afford it. So like, I jump on this call with these random people that I had never met in my entire life, and the overwhelming amount of love that I received in that first meeting, not even knowing who I was, which is so lovely. So every Tuesday, I attended these meetings on Zoom for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, just like, you know, talking, and they would open up space for us to have a moment, like 10 minutes to just talk about what was going on in our lives and what we were feeling. And we were all there for each other. It was very, very cool. I'm still go to this group every Tuesday. I still attend this group on Zoom. It's dialed down, but it's just, they've been such a wonderful community of people and like great fellowship for me. And the mother of like the pastor, you know, she hasn't heard from me. She'll text me. She's like, hey, just checking in. Are you okay? Here's a prayer card for you. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Here's some grace. Like, so lovely. And it's so lovely. So that helped me gradually get a little better mentally on track. Then it came to a point where my ex-boyfriend, he started to make a mockery of my group that I was like, he would come through and being, you know, walking through my meetings. And I'm like, do I walk through your work meetings when you're on a call? Like, no, you know, it was very disrespectful. And so all that being said, I'm trying to like find the light here. Find light. You know, so all that being said, that helped me get through it. And so going back to my career and not being able to like do what I had my weight had just also, I had blown up. Like, it was because of my health and things that I were going through and how my body started changing. And so, you know, I never knew what I was going to like be again physically. And then that when you're not physically in your best self, whatever that means to you, it also affects your mental and your emotional. It is just such a crazy ride how they all intertwine. And so, you know, and I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna be able to, if I'm ever gonna be able to perform again. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to dance again. I had friends come over, and my friend Gilbert, he came over one night, and he stayed the night with me because my ex-boyfriend was, I don't know, he was fucking anyway, so Gilbert came to stay with me, and he was like, have you been like trying to go for walks or even like move or dance? I was like, I can't dance anymore. He was like, fuck, you can't. Yes, you can. And I was like, no, I can't. He said, get off the couch. I said, stop yelling at me in my apartment, first of all. And he was like, get up, and I need you to do a pirouette. I said, I can't do a pirouette anymore. I literally like, and he was like, do a fucking pirouette. and he's not a dancer. He stood up with me. It was so beautiful. Stood up with me. He like made himself a bar. He was like, do a bar warm up. And he was like, you're gonna do a fucking pirouette and you're gonna do a clean and you're gonna spot me. And he like would come over and help me. He was like, you're gonna start getting that strength back. We're gonna force you and you're gonna do this. Like, we're not gonna watch you crumble again. Like, we need our friend back, you know. It's very lovely. So I had friends continue to keep coming over and encouraging me. And then I had this group and, you know, and then, you know, toxicity, boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, was just, he would come in and out and I noticed the change and he just wasn't there. And also because I couldn't give myself to him sexually, you know, he was turning the other cheek and not really understanding that I couldn't be there. A person can't be there for you physically or intimately if they are mentally and emotionally not in a good place. And that's something that you, again, you don't realize unless you're in that place. And I said, this is something I would never wish on my worst enemy. Like, it was horrible. And it also made me start to realize, start to really depict internally what I was valuing and what was not important and what was important. And, you know, so this time that I thought was hell was, I interpret it a way of God being like, you've been on this path, and there was a path that I was on that was also becoming detrimental to myself, and I didn't realize it. And I was forced to sit down and forced to regrow and to rebuild. I was forced. I had no other choice but to do that. And so through all of this and through the group and through my friend, fast forward to my ex-boyfriend breaking up with me after a trip and came home and knew I had nowhere to go, nowhere to live, no money. I had no job because I was going through this thing, you know, and he broke up with me and then gave me a week and a half to move out. Mm-hmm. And it was like Jekyll and Hyde, and then I was like, are you kidding? He just became a very negative and nasty person. But I'm happy that he did that, because you have to rip off a Band-Aid in order to heal. And I was a wound waiting to heal, honestly. And the minute he did that, it was hard. And the minute I moved my last piece of my last piece of furniture and things I had out of the apartment, I just felt this weight just like fall off of me. Like, I was like, oh my God, I can breathe. Like, and I didn't realize how much I was holding my breath for 4.5 years. It is insane. And I was like, okay, like, I'm back to being independent. How do I be independent again? You know, and so again, staying with this group and staying with friends that were very supportive and family, I started to return to the things that made me who I am, made me happy, and I had to like re-find joy and who I was at the core. And I just and this is where Jess, I mean, my little friend Jess, when I kind of met her, I met you. We worked at 305 Fitness together. Come take class. And everyone's here, come take class. We'll get you for classes. Anyway, but we work at 305, and this is where I met her, and I'm sure she can speak to this and attest to it. But like, you know, everyone at 305 was so uplifting and such a good community for me to be a part of. And they were always encouraged me, take class. You have to get yourself in class. And I was like forcing myself to get in class. To like, I had to do some sort of movement in order to get my body back to the physical standpoint to be able to withstand maybe auditioning again, maybe performing again. And so 305 was a thing that helped me to move forward in my return to the industry, and also coming into back into the industry like a baby with fresh eyes and a fresh take and a fresh appreciation, not for what the industry is, but what my love truly is. I got this tattoo. I don't have any. I've never had tattoos. Joey, you've never seen them. I got this tattoo, and it's a treble clef with a heartbeat, and that was to remind myself that music is what makes me like love and it's like the love of my life. And so I started to refine music and I started to write music. I started to I have music out on Apple Music and then Pandora and like it's a whole thing. We'll talk about it later. But like I started to really refine my voice and who I was again. And how much time do I have, Dre? I'm sorry. 2 minutes, thank you, too. So I started to refine that again. And fast forward to Rock of Ages was my first show that I returned to the industry in, which was a really hard show. But that show, I was like, if I can get through this show, I can get through anything. I have to keep pushing myself. So I returned from Toxicity and Disdain, and thank you for listening. Thank you. Okay.
That was wonderful. Yes, we love this. Return. You out there online can't see it, but Jonte is wearing these lovely sparkly loafers. Did everyone see Jonte's sparkly loafers? Yeah, show them off, honey. And by the way, these folks that dance and sing in musicals, they're doing so much busting their ass work. It's crazy. Like, I don't usually do a lot of musicals, but I did this musical, and the chorus gals, which were all drag queens, and Jonte, drag queen? Never. No, they just like they were physically doing so much that I was blown away. They were the stars of the show. People were like, oh my God. Jonte looked really pretty. Gorgeous, amazing, as Battelle. Oh, right, Jonte does drag regularly as Victoria Williams. And I've seen her in drag, so don't miss it. When's your next show?
Every Monday, I do music Mondays at Boxers. I start the show at 9 p.m. sharp and 10:30 sharp.
9 p.m. at Boxers every Monday. Get in there. Hmm? Hell's Kitchen. Ooh, the gayest place on earth. Oh, okay, we're gonna take a 2-minute break and then we're gonna have our final storyteller, and it's very exciting. So we'll see you in 2 or 3 minutes. Oh, and give money if you can. And I'll pass this around for cash. You don't have to give it. You're one of the storytellers. Wait, I was gonna ask you something.
Let's do the mute. Sorry, people.
I think we're back. What's everybody doing? Woo, we're gonna bring, oh, do we have to do? Greg's about to do, I unmuted, but I don't know what else I did,
No, that's it.
if I messed it up.
Nope.
Wait. Sorry.
Very close.
So far, yeah. So far, that's it, period. Did everybody give some Venmo out there for our artists? At BGSQD on Venmo. All right, we're gonna have our final storyteller, and there's like a little extra surprise-ish at the end of this story, you'll see. Or maybe in the beginning or the middle. You just have to stick around to see. All right. Wait. Carly Shiraki is an Emmy. Okay, we only have the best people here. What am I, Trump? Oh, I'm sorry I said that. We have the best people. Yes. We actually do, though. We do actually have the best people. Is an Emmy-nominated host, writer, musician, and producer. She has spent most of her career in children's media, making and hosting TV shows and podcasts with collaborators like Universal Kids, Disney Plus, Nick Jr., Tinkercast, Sesame Workshop, and prepare yourselves for this one, the Lego Foundation. What? We have Lego Legacy here. It's called Legacy. Hey, everybody, I said that. She's a Moth Story Slam winner. We're very serious business here. And has told tales with Generation Women, The Artichoke, The Tell. What the fuck is The Tell? We're Tell. Okay. I love you, The Tell. But we're Tell. We're two different. Soup and Stories and More. She teaches clown theater classes at the Brooklyn Comedy Collective. Everybody give it up for Carly! Yeah, dancing up.
I don't know what to do with my body. Thank you, Dre. And thank you, incredible storytellers. This has been such a fun time. Well, this is wiggly. Okay, I'm just gonna set this up just in case I need it. Oh my God, here we are. All right. Oh, internet. Hi. Hello, Zoom. It's me, Carls. Don't we love a microphone? So I also begin my tale in COVID times, which, yeah, COVID was so sad and lonely, for me. I was by myself for most of it. And, I was so jealous of my friends who had partners and kids that they were with. And I know like also a lot of those things went a lot of different directions. But from where I was sitting, right. But from where I was sitting, I was like, I'm alone. I'm spending every night building my Lego treehouse, crying into a bottle of red wine.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I made a mistake. Like I did something wrong. Like I spent too much time in my 20s working on my career. And now I'm riding out the world's longest snow day with only my sadness to keep me warm. Like it was just like, I was so sad. Also, so I came out around 2009, stepped into my queerness, dating everybody, loving life and living. But at this point in 2020, in the pandemic, I had come out of back-to-back relationships, about 8 years with men. So I was feeling like really like I was longing for queer community. And I was feeling like even like an imposter inside of my own queerness. So I know it was hard times. It was hard times. So I know everybody's pandemic was, you know, very different, but I was having these confrontations, so like perhaps it didn't work out with these men because like I'm actually just gay. So the thoughts were just, you know, I'm so sad, I'm so lonely, I'm so gay. This is what my pandemic was. So it's 2022 and the world is slowly starting to come back online, and I am upstate with a bunch of friends for the week, just enjoying the summer. And we find out that Brandi Carlile is playing in Bethel Woods. Do we know Brandy Carlisle, this musician? Okay, beautiful Americana musician, very gay. I'm like, I'm like a medium Brandy fan. Like I know a couple of her songs, but for some reason I feel this like tug in my soul. I'm like, I need to go to that concert. So I say to my friends, I'm like, do you guys want to go see Brandy? She's playing at Woodstock. We're up here, like we should go. And they're like, we're not into it. We love Brandy actually, but like you go and that's for you. And I'm like, you know what? I think it is for me. I'm gonna go. So I go by myself. I have my little like can of orange wine and I'm tailgating just alone in the parking lot. And I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, there are so many lesbians here. Like it's lesbians galore. Like I've actually never seen such a high concentration of lesbians in one place. And I've been in a lot of queer spaces, but I don't know if it's just like coming out of the pandemic and it's just like, look, lots of people, but I'm just really struck by the level of queerness that I'm seeing around me. And I notice in my body that I'm feeling like a wave of like calm that I haven't felt in a long time. And I'm feeling this like sense of belonging and this just sense of goodness. And I'm like, wow, it's gonna be a great night. So I take my spot on the lawn and I roll out my, my little blanket. I was gonna say my carpet. No, that's not what it was. I sit down on my little towel and the concert starts and I just start crying. And I'm not like a person that is moved by music. Like I cry, I'm like available, but I'm just like sobbing through this. I am, but this like something was going on. I'm having like a spiritual reorganization. So, I'm crying through the whole thing and it's her voice and it's the story she's telling and it's the community she's gathered. And she gets to the last song of the night and it's this song, Crowded Table. Does anybody know this song? Okay, so the chorus, I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able and bring us back together when the day is done. And you guys, I'm like, what is this song? What are these words that are like jumping from the stage straight into my soul? And that was it. Like that just broke me open. Because it was like, that's it, right? That's the expression, the articulation of everything that I was longing for and wanting in that moment. It's community, it's queer community. And I felt like that song was like this spell, this prayer. And so when I got back from that weekend at Woodstock and got back from the concert, I immediately learned how to play the song on guitar. And when it comes to like the guitar, I'm a medium, like low end musician, small end musician. But I played that song like every day for weeks. I would start the day with it. It felt like I was like sending out this prayer into the universe. People would like come over to hang and I'd be like, oh my God, can I just like play you a song on guitar? I'm like, what do you think? We're like in group settings and I'm like, oh my God, are we bringing out instruments? You guys like to anyone who will listen. Like sometimes I'm crying and they're like, oh my God, you're so available. I'm like, I know. And so I'm just like having this whole moment with this song and like I go down the Brandy rabbit hole like so far. I'm like reading her book. I'm in it. And my friend KB emails me right around this time. She forwards me an email it's like an advertisement for Brandy's Mexico like music festival called Girls Just Want a Weekend. And she just got divorced from her wife. And Sarah Bareilles is one of the headliners. She's obsessed with Sarah Bareilles. She's like, I'm obsessed with Sarah. I just got divorced. You're obsessed with Brandy and you're like trying to like reclaim your queerness. We should go to this festival. And like, I've never been to a music festival. I'm like, oh, what? But I'm like, this is absolutely the time to go to this festival. So I'm like, you know what? I'm in YOLO. We'll start 2023 in Mexico with all of the queers. This is going to be great. So we're like going through the list of like the activities that they have at this festival because it's the music, obviously, but it's also like, there's panels and there's like a songwriting class. And then there's this one event called Brandyoke. And Brandyoke is like, it's like live band karaoke, but Brandy is the band and the fans sing. So it's like one of the days of the festival in the afternoon, there's like a full set of music sung by the fans and Brandy and her band back you up. And like, so I'm like, what? And what you do is you like submit a video on Instagram and then they like pick the set list from there. So I'm talking to KB and I'm like, yo, I think we should like submit for Brandioki. We rope our friend Emily into the trip and into this audition submission. And Emily's like a legitimate Broadway singer, which bodes well for us. So the three of us get together one night, we smoke a little, we drink a little, we work out 3-part harmonies for Crowded Table, and we make a video. And a couple weeks later, we get a message saying, we have been selected to perform at Brandioki. Like, they know what the last couple months have been, so they're like, bitch, what kind of witchcraft is this? It's like, in August, you were like learning the song, and then now you're saying in January, you're gonna sing the song on stage with Brandy? Like, that escalated quickly. And I'm like, yes, it did. So we spend the next couple weeks like getting our lives ready for this monumental occasion. We're practicing our harmonies. And we get to Mexico, and it is like the experience of that Woodstock concert, like times 1,000. It is queers everywhere, it's couples, it's families, it's elders. And I love nothing more than to lay eyes on the communities of elders, like these groups of friends that have all come. It is so magical. And like, we're making friends. So by the time like when the day comes, you know, people are like cheering us on. They're like, got their cameras out so we can get it captured from all angles. And we're like backstage with all the other people who have been chosen to sing. And they tell us that we're gonna go last because Crowded Table is such an anthem of a song. They're like, we're gonna close with that. And so we're just like, I remember being backstage as we're about to go on, and I'm like, I have the microphone in a death grip. Oh God. And I sing, as you can tell by my voice, I'm singing all the low harmonies for this. So it's arguably the hardest, thing to sing. And I'm just like, girl, don't forget your harmonies, like stay cool, be cool. So they call our names, we come out, we all get to embrace Brandy on our way out. And I'm just like, what? And I like, in another world, I think I would have totally blacked out for the whole thing. But I should say the place where we were singing, it's on the beach during the day as the festival goes. And we're like right on the beach, but what's in front of us is this like lagoon of lesbians just floating in their like tubes, drinking their beers. And like after like these COVID years and these years of being out of touch with my queer identity, now I'm standing on this stage again, singing this song to a lagoon of lesbians, but not even singing to, singing with, because the second we start our song, everybody knows the song. So everybody is singing along with us. At a certain point, the rest of everyone else that has sung before that day came out and like they're at our back. Everyone's at our front. Someone did throw a bra at us. I'm just saying. And we sing the song, and I feel like in my memory of it, I lifted off the ground like 6 inches, right? As I'm singing this, I'm like passing through this portal of truth and identity and belonging and community. And it was incredible. And I can kind of think of my life as like before that and after that because of how reorganizing it was after. So yeah. I had to do it. I asked her if I could do it. A couple of weeks ago, I was at another Brandy show. I got to see her play Red Rocks in Denver, which was incredible. And I was there with my partner, Lindsay, who lives in Colorado, but in a few months, she's actually moving in with me. Into my studio in Brooklyn, the same studio where I sobbed into my Legos and my red wine every night. And I think the thing that we are most excited about is our Crowded Table. So if I may, and if you know the words, and if you're a singer, it's okay, you'll get it, sing along. And I get nervous when I play the guitar, so if my hands get sweaty and I make a mistake, I might start over. Okay. You can hold my hand when you need to let go. I can be your mountain when you're feeling valley low. I can be your street light, showing you the way home. If you can hold my hand when you need to let go. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seeds, plant a little happiness, let the roots run deep. If it's love, love that we give, then it's love that we reap. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seeds. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. The door is always open. Your pictures on my wall. Everyone's a little broken and everyone belongs. Yeah, everyone belongs. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. And bring us back together when the day is done. Yeah. Wow, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Sunday. Oh my God. Brandy played the guitar when we sang that in the.
All the storytellers come up and take a bow. And we can pass the badge one more time, just in case. We're gonna shake you down. We're shaking you down out there on the internet too at BGSQD. Send us some money. Woo! Let's take a little photo. Look here. Look here.
Here we go, 1, 2, 3, yeah, let's go. Come on. Yeah, okay.
And hey, give it up. These amazing storytellers, each with their own style, brave enough to share their hearts and souls and voices with you.
We're one of the legends.
We love them. Tell queer stories forever. We're on Instagram at Tell Queers with a Z at the end. Give it up. And you can find all of these artists on there. They're all tagged on Instagram, so you can find them on there. Yay, thank you.
Good night, friends.